Solve the polynomial inequality x cubed times x minus 5 squared times x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 0. So for a polynomial inequality, the first thing we need to do is identify the zeros of the polynomial. Since this is in factored form, that's simple enough to do. We just take each factor, set it to 0, and solve. So 0 itself, if I take x minus 5, set that to 0 and solve, then 5 is a 0, and so is negative 8. Now I'm going to put these values on a number line in increasing order. And I need to see what's happening in between each of those values as to whether this is going to be positive or negative. Now my final answer, I'm looking for values that are greater than or equal to 0. So since the polynomial is equal to 0 at each of these, I can go ahead and put closed circles on these values. But to get the rest of the answer, I need to choose some test values. So for instance, negative 9 is on this first interval, negative 1 is here, 1 is there, and 6 is on that interval. And I just plug each of these into my polynomial to see if the result is positive or negative. Now, one thing that is interesting, no matter what I put into this value right here, if the answer is positive or negative, it's going to get squared, which is always a positive value. And a positive value doesn't change the sign, so we actually don't need to worry about plugging into this one. It's only the other two that really matter. So negative 9 cubed, it doesn't really matter what the value is. It's just that negative 9 cubed would be a negative number. Similarly, negative 9 plus 8 is a negative value. So the result of two negatives multiplied together would be positive. Negative 1 cubed is a negative value. Negative 1 plus 8 is a positive value. So everything on this interval would be negative. 1 cubed is positive. 1 plus 8 is positive. So everything on this interval would be positive. 6 cubed is positive, and 6 plus 8 is positive. So everything on this interval would be positive as well. So now we're looking for all the values that are greater than 0. So any interval that results in a positive answer is going to be part of our solution. Now, we do want to give the simplest solution we can. So what we're going to do is start off with the interval from negative infinity to 8, including the 8, and then start from 0. And because the 5 is included, we don't have to skip over it or anything. We can just go all the way to infinity rather than putting 3 sets and skipping over the 5.